Have you ever felt just completely stuck? Like you've lost your spark, and maybe you've even had some success, but you just feel empty? Well, we're going to dive into that today because we're looking at a totally counterintuitive way to get that fire back. Just let that sink in for a second. Our first instinct is always to look for more books, more YouTube videos, more advice. But what if that's the very thing that's holding us back? This is the big question we're unpacking, and believe me, the answer is probably not what you're expecting. And this isn't just some abstract idea. That's a direct quote from the entrepreneur Iman Gadzhi, a guy who, from the outside looking in, should have been on top of the world. And that paradox, well, that's where this whole story really kicks off. Right, so let's talk about this weird phenomenon. Let's call it the achiever's emptiness. It's that feeling of being successful, but totally directionless, and it is way more common than you might think. So let's get the context here. We're talking about someone who's been in the game for over a decade. He just came off what he called an absolutely incredible year. You'd think he'd be celebrating, right? But nope. The result was this profound sense of, all right, well, what now? It just goes to show you, external success doesn't automatically equal internal inspiration. Now, to really get to the bottom of this, we have got to make a really important distinction. See, we throw around the words inspiration and discipline like they're the same thing, but they actually solve two totally different problems. Let's break that down. And this just lays it out perfectly. Discipline is your engine. It's what you use when you know exactly where you're going and you just need to put in the work to get there. Honestly, that's what most of us, maybe 90% of us, need most of the time. But this is for that other 10%. The people who have the engine, but they've completely lost the map. They don't need to work harder. They need to figure out where the heck they're even going. And that leads us to the big question. If you're in that 10% and you know that just consuming more stuff, more podcasts, more videos isn't working, then what is? What's the real solution when you need a whole new destination? Well, the answer starts by challenging our most common instinct, something we could call the myth of more. We basically have to unlearn the first thing we're programmed to do when we feel lost. Because this is what we all do, right? The moment we feel uninspired, we panic, and we just flood our brains with more inputs. We're scrolling Pinterest, we're binging YouTube tutorials, we're asking everyone for advice. We're just creating more and more noise, hoping that somewhere in all that static, a lightning bolt of inspiration will magically appear. But the real solution? It's the exact opposite. It's not about adding more noise. It's about subtraction. It's about creating silence so you can finally hear yourself think again. You see, the answer isn't out there. It's already inside you. It's just being completely drowned out. So let's really dig into this idea. How on earth does taking things away lead to a breakthrough? Well, it all starts with understanding what we're all carrying around with us every single day. Iman Gadzhi uses this really great metaphor of a wooden box. Imagine we all carry one, and throughout our lives, we keep putting stones into it. Each stone is a label, an identity, a belief about who we are. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a good student. I'm the person who never quits. The problem is, over time, that box gets unbelievably heavy. Those stones, those identities, they stop being a foundation and they start becoming ankle weights. They make it really hard to move, to change direction, to swim in a new direction because you're literally weighed down by who you used to be. Here's another way to think about it. Being in that uninspired state is like wearing a pair of dark sunglasses. Everything just looks gray and dull and lifeless. And the solution isn't to try and find bright colors while you're still looking through those dark lenses. The solution is just to take the glasses off, see things clearly again, even for just a moment. So, how do we actually do this? How do we take off the glasses? How do we lighten the load in that wooden box? This is where we get to the practical, actionable stuff you can actually do. It really all comes down to creating space. Step 1, change your environment. Get away from the places that trigger your usual routines and thoughts. This helps you do step 2, detach from your identity. Go somewhere you're not the boss or the student. You can just be. At the same time, you consciously cut back on your inputs. Less scrolling, more listening to yourself. And then the final step is just to embrace that stillness. And this is so important. This does not have to be some extreme, secret life of Walter Mitty adventure. You don't have to sell all your possessions and fly to Tibet. It can be as simple as a 3-hour drive to a town you've never seen before. It can be a solo trip to a coffee shop across town.
Heck, it can just be a long walk in a park you've never been to. The goal is simply to be somewhere new, with no old associations.
You see, we have this movie-like idea that inspiration strikes like a lightning bolt. But that's just not how it works. It's not something you find when you're frantically searching for it. It comes back to you, quietly, in those peaceful moments you create when you finally stop looking and just start listening. And what's the end result of all this? What's the payoff? Godzi puts it perfectly right here. After creating that space, he said the love of the game just came back. It wasn't about the money or the results, the harvest. It was just a simple love for the process, a love for the game itself. So, if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's that inspiration isn't something you go out and find. It's something that's already inside you, and you just have to uncover it by clearing away all the junk that's burying it. So the real question for you is, what noise are you willing to silence so that you can finally hear it?